This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
And here we go.
Live from the bell tower, taking a stand for your rights, your liberties, and all the bullshit in between. You're listening to Ring the Bell Podcast.
Good evening and a happy Monday night. And yeah, the weather's a little warmer.
Yes, hello, beautiful bell breakers. It feels like winter now
It's like
instead of Antarctica.
It's like a heat wave out there.
I know,
It's like
awesome.
in the 30s today, and I'm happy about that. But
Yes.
we went through like a 2-week winter apocalypse.
Yeah.
And like sub-zero temperatures. I'm pretty sure I almost gave myself frostbite. Like the very first day of it, I like grabbed something metal and it felt like I burned my hands. But that was fun. And there was like 4 blizzards in there.
At least, yeah.
And,
High winds.
Yeah, high winds, lots of snow.
Yeah. We're supposed to get freezing rain tonight.
Yay. Yay,
So,
I'm happy about
We're
that.
not done yet.
It's a happy day because Davos, the
Yes.
Davos thing happened this week.
Yes.
It's sad because we weren't invited.
I know,
Again,
I know.
we want to 2024. It's another year where we weren't invited to Davos.
It's the closest thing the world has to a supervillain convention.
It
If I
is,
get
it really
invited,
is.
I'm going to go as Dr. Doom.
You should. I'm gonna go as the guy from. I'm gonna go as Groot from
Nice.
or Gru from
oh, yes.
from Despicable Me.
Yes. Very nice.
Yes, we're going to steal the moon. that's what I'm going to do. I mean, you're that's an under exaggeration, I think, of exactly what it is. And like part of me wants, like, I can't figure out, are these people like intentionally like trying to just fuck up humanity as we know it,
Mhm.
or are they just like super egotistical, narcissistic people with zero self-awareness, or they're
Yes.
like, I can fix this problem. It's like, you mean the problems that you primarily
Right.
created and
Yeah.
continue to perpetuate and continue to create on top of your perpetuation.
Yeah.
And now you think that people should give you a bunch of money to fix
Yeah.
these problems.
And that's funny because one of the coverage I was watching, the guy actually said, he's like, at the beginning of the conference, Klaus Schwab, who you do an excellent impression of,
Who's a supervillain? Yes.
yes, came out and basically did a top 10 of the world's top problems, and in a way, like, took credit for them.
Yeah, we did that. The climate, the atmosphere is full of carbon dioxide. You're welcome. I can't do it tonight. But
You're out of practice.
I am.
It's
It's been a while. Probably since last year's Davos.
Yeah,
When we
right.
talked about it. Seems like we talk about it at least once a year, right about
I
this
was gonna
time.
say, and you know, it just gets old, so you can't keep talking about it, but we should almost.
It's true, but this year things are looking up because like I don't think it's any surprise that people don't trust those motherfuckers
Right.
up there. Like if you have a bit of like the slightest hint of common sense, you wouldn't trust those guys. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. It doesn't matter if you're like an anarchist that's like, just leave me the fuck alone and don't get in my shit, or a diehard communist where you're like, we should all own nothing and be happy, the
Right.
way they're saying. But you have to understand, these are the billionaires that you keep saying you're going to eat the rich.
Yeah. Yeah.
So both sides on like all across the spectrum, nobody should trust these guys. These guys are talking about like socialism and like owning nothing and being happy when it's just them literally owning everything. That's at the end of the day what they want.
Right.
They own everything. So it's like,
Right.
who's actually trusting these people? It's the billionaires that you're bitching about, or we're bitching about, and they're talking about making like all these things that they can fix, like the social, like the wage gaps in the world and the inequality in the world and all this shit. And it's just like, you guys are the personification of inequality.
Yeah.
Like
right.
you guys single-handedly keep things at this level of inequality
Yeah.
that it doesn't make sense to have just the elite of the elite of elite. And not only that, but then they go stay in their freaking super nice, like elitist ski lodge in
Right.
Switzerland, eating the most. You think they're eating bugs there? Like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah, no.
you know, it'd be great for
How
the
about
world.
white rhino?
So yeah, it's like, you know, it'd be great for the world is everybody ate bugs. It's so much better for the climate as they're slicing into their zebra.
Yeah, right.
They're
Yeah.
slicing into the world's rarest
White tiger.
yeah, white tiger kebabs
Yeah.
and baby sloth meat and stuff.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. It just, it's ironic and hypocrisy and all of those things combined.
Yeah.
And they're sitting up there. It's like, well, we just all need to eat the bugs. And it's
Yeah.
like, who's this we you keep talking
Yeah.
about? Because you're certainly not eating the bugs. And I don't like, there's obviously the dead horse that keeps getting beat every time Davos comes up.
Mm.
All like the surface level argument is like, well, and it's like these people just discovered this for the first time. It's like these billionaires in Davos flying their private jets to this meeting to discuss climate change. How many times in the last, since we started this podcast, have you seen that? Like as Davos is kicking off, it's like these billionaires are flying their private jets to discuss climate change. It's like, we know, we know this. That is so like a long time ago, old news. But I feel like that's what they want us to keep. Like they realize they're not going to get like warm our hearts and the cockles of our souls and stuff. But if we can just get stuck on this, like, well, they're flying private jets and they're rich and they're and talk about that same thing over and over. It's like, if that's all they think we're doing, then we're not doing too bad this year.
Yeah.
If they actually knew what we were doing, the private jet thing would not be as big of a deal to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had read that like disapproval in the WEF and NGOs in general is like way up. Like the mistrust that's there is super high right now. And
yeah, that's why we have our theme this year of rebuilding trust.
Right. And apparently several world leaders bailed out of it because of the bad press they were going to get for going to it.
Isn't it? It's kind of surprising some of these people do still show up at these things when there is like an over-encompassing lack of trust in this group. Like the conspiracy theory is almost as high as like the Zionist conspiracy theories or the George Soros conspiracy theories and things like that. So it's like, you know, what would be a great idea? That would be a big PR stunt for our team is to go join this group of evil masterminds in Davos, Switzerland.
Right.
While people bitch about us. I mean, that would just make our company look great.
Yeah.
I would think a lot of them would be like, guys, maybe we should do a Zoom meeting this year.
Maybe
we should not make this a public event. Like it's not a public, but like publicly like reported on. Like, let's keep all the news people out of here. Let's keep all the YouTubers out of here.
Yeah.
Let's not make this a big thing. Let's make like there's the real secret like shady organization that have like the Bilderberg group and stuff like that, where it's just like nobody knows what. It's almost like Davos is like, this is what the elitists are doing, and then like the Bilderberg group and stuff like that we have no idea what they're doing there, but we just know they meet and they don't let press in and things like that. Just,
did you ever see Spectre? It's Quantum of Solace, James Bond, and so he's trying to track down this evil organization, and so he goes and there's this like big opera, and there's all these world like leaders and prime ministers and stuff sitting in there, and as the opera's going, they have like earpieces, and they're like, we burned the oil fields in Venezuela today. And it's like, are we check on the water situation? Yes, you know, and so it's like they're sitting there conducting business, you know, as this concert's going on, you know. So
that's probably what's going on.
I can totally imagine that.
So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about this Davos 2024 big evil villain super party. We're going to talk about some of the things that they talked about. There's AI in the discussion. There's climate change obviously is
of course,
there.
That's a given.
There's the let me see what we're talking about. I want to discuss who all is going to be there. Obviously,
yes,
we're going to talk about obviously one of the big things in their discussion was disease X.
Yes.
Just don't be alarmed, guys. We don't want to cause a panic, but there is this disease X,
right,
which we haven't discovered yet, but it's like the biggest health threat in the world right now, even though we don't even know if it exists.
Yeah.
Well, we know it exists. We just haven't discovered it. So that. And then I want to talk about all the ways that they plan to rebuild our trust. Because like if I wanted to rebuild trust for like my company or this podcast, it would be like transparency. Like this is how we operate. This is what we plan to, which I guess I want to say maybe to rebuild trust, they should be less transparent because
I was gonna say
they've been wide open with their plans. It's like, fuck it, we're gonna burn it down and start over. And we're like, whoa, I don't trust you. And it's like, scratch that. We're not gonna tell you what we're gonna do, but you should trust us.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about their prediction for the U.S. presidential election. So who they think is going to win. So all that stuff is coming up. It should be fun because we always have a good time when we're discussing the evil masterminds of the world. So it's been a while since we talked about the evil masterminds.
Yes.
Before we get there, I got to point out I was right twice this week.
You were.
Or last week.
You were. Absolutely.
I had said I'm pretty sure Vivek's going to drop out by the end of tonight, which was last Monday night.
Yes.
And by Tuesday morning, I saw reports that Vivek had dropped out. And I was almost right with Ron DeSantis. I had said by the end of the week, I think Ron DeSantis drops out, especially if he doesn't get second place.
Right.
And I think it was yesterday that you texted me and you're like, hey, DeSantis is out. I was like, oh, so close. So close.
I called it.
Yeah.
Yes. So predictions on Haley. Is she going to go the distance?
Haley,
she's got a lot of money behind her, a lot of shadow money.
I mean, she'll hang in there the longest. I would say if it was anybody other than Trump, I would say she goes the longest and then gets picked up for VP slot because it's a female and that will attract female votes.
Yeah,
pretty sure Trump has already smashed that away because he does not like Nikki Haley at all.
Has he called her a nasty woman yet?
I haven't heard that yet,
okay.
But I don't see him picking her. He had talked about, I know DeSantis is backing Trump now,
right?
So I could see maybe him picking up DeSantis as
I'm pushing
VP.
for Ramaswamy for vice president.
You think that'll actually happen?
No, but I'm pushing for it.
No, I think I don't know who it'll be, but I mean Trump won with 52%, I think was the final.
Yeah. It was the biggest margin ever.
Yeah. And here in Iowa.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's just like double digits over Haley right now. Yeah. So I don't see, unless they turn around and just do some like weird freaking legal shit to push him off the ballot. Right. I don't see that being a thing.
And maybe they're expecting it because it's not like these guys are just bailing. It's like they're just suspending which means they could jump back in whenever they want.
Right. Well, they won't. Now, RFK Jr. came out with some weird shit this week. He was like, you know what my plan is, he doesn't expect to win.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to win, but he doesn't expect to. But he wants to win enough where neither gets the number of electoral votes needed to win.
Mm-hmm.
So between Biden and Trump, he wants to disrupt it enough to where the House has to make the final call. And at the end of the day, they could pick him.
Yeah.
And that could be some weird, shady shit. That could also lead to some really big problems with Trump supporters, Biden supporters, anybody. So it could get interesting real quick. But this is not the election episode. No. We need to get into this intro video. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Davos 2024. Check us out all over social media. Like, share, subscribe, all that happy shit we tell you to do every single week. We'll be right back.
What did you say?
You talking to me? What the heck are you talking about?
What did you say?
What did you say?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What are you saying?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Well, maybe he was talking to me.
What'd you say?
Talk to me.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Talk to me, baby.
Did you just say?
What did you say?
You listen to me.
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me?
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
We're back. We're not at Davos, though. Well,
No.
Davos is over, so we wouldn't be there
It's a
anyway.
year away. I mean, maybe we can
start
save.
getting our tickets. Wonder how much are our tickets to that? You should look it up
I'm
while
gonna
I
look it
talk.
up. All right.
It ended the 19th, so 2 or 3 days ago. Over 3,000 participants. There was like 113 billionaires in total. Like, we're talking world leaders, business leaders, academic scholars, as they call themselves. There was like social leaders. All the leaders combined just get together and discuss how to fix the inequality, how to fix the climate problems, how to fix the poor problems. Do you know, have you ever looked up what Google says is how much total it would cost to end world homelessness?
How much?
What would you think?
Oh,
Total cost to end homelessness, according to Google.
I would say probably like probably like 50 billion.
40 billion. You're
Okay,
close.
okay.
$40 billion. That's a lot to us, but that, at the grand scheme of things, that's not. When you think like the five richest people that of the world combined are worth $800 billion.
Yes.
That's just 5 of them. And you're talking 113 billionaires alone amongst the 3,000 participants at Davos. Couldn't they just do like the churches and take up a collection plate for the homeless?
I would think.
I would think they'd be able to round up $40 billion collectively amongst the 3,000 people and just be like, all right, homelessness is ended. Now let's go to the next agenda.
Yeah.
Climate change. We need 200 billion for that. Let's pass the collection plate around, because the problem is these people don't want to end these issues. They're there. It to me, it seems more like an investment seminar. It's like one of those like timeshare seminars. Like, buy into my plan. Buy into my plan. Oh, it's a great investment. You'll be able to make this much money off helping the poor, and we'll be able to make this much money off helping the poor or solving climate change. It just seems to me more like an investment, like a big party, and B, and a big investment strategy seminar. So basically like a timeshare thing, because the timeshare things, you go there, you hang out, you get a free hotel trip, you get to like swim with the whales and stuff, and then you got to sit through the hour-long lecture like, here, buy my timeshare for whatever money, for an exorbitant amount of money, and you can stay in this place. You find anything? You're making weird faces over there.
Well, for one of us to fly round trip, you're looking at $16,000
just to fly into Switzerland.
Yes.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe we won't go. Can we? Is there a route like an Uber?
Maybe we could take a boat.
I don't know. We better leave now.
Yeah. Seriously. Wow.
So, I mean, the whole thing is a fucking joke to me. Yeah. They debate. So Google describes the Davos meeting as a debating these high-profile people debate the most pressing challenges and seeking solutions for those global challenges. And it's like, again, those challenges that you created, like the war in Ukraine.
Right.
Most of that came from like billionaires wanting to profit off wars. How many military industrial complex people do you think are at these Davos meetings?
Oh, all of them.
Probably every single one of them, like the Lockheeds and the people making money. And then you get Zelensky there, and he's like, you need to send me more money. And they're like, we'll invest in your war.
Yeah. Do you think like he was invited, or do you think like he just showed up and they're like, crashed. Shit, we gotta have him.
Oh no, he's there. He's the military industrial poster child, even though he's losing a lot of support. But he was there. He was there begging this year.
He looked pretty pathetic.
Did he? The guy never shows up. Like, I don't know. Like, he's got this like gruff persona. He never shows up in like a suit and tie. It's always like his crew neck shirts.
Yeah.
His big muscly crew neck shirts. Yeah. Or his like military shirts and stuff. It's just like, I'm always at war. It's life is a war for me, so I'm always dressed for war.
If it was the 80s, he'd have one of those Rambo bandanas around his head every time he shows up someplace.
Reminds me of, did you ever see Archer, the cartoon Archer?
No.
Oh geez, he's like a freaking like rich spy.
Yeah.
But he's always wearing like his spy shirt's always like a black turtleneck or something. Like he always has all these black turtlenecks, and that's what he always reminds me of. He just opens his closet and it's all his like crew neck shirts.
Yeah.
He's like, what should I wear to the Davos meeting? Going with beige crew neck.
Yeah.
Unlike the beige crew neck I wore yesterday. This is my dressy.
Yeah.
This is my dress beige. I don't know.
What did you think about the Ukraine stuff?
I didn't see the Ukraine. I didn't watch it. I was just like, I was hoping you did, because I just have heard enough of that guy begging for money, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
Did
and basically they're just saying like, if there's going to be peace in the world, it starts in Ukraine.
You need to send us money for peace in the world.
And you got to send your bombs. Send your bombs, send your ammunition so that we can have peace in the world. And that's basically what it was.
What about Israel? Like, I know there's a lot of discussion was surrounding a Palestine state.
Yes.
And I thought that was
an
odd.
They're looking for people to help rebuild Gaza, but apparently they won't do it until there's a two-state solution, until Palestine has its own state and Israel backs off, and then at that point they will try to rebuild Gaza.
That was surprising to me that they're taking a less like pro-Israel stance, but I don't know. They even like considered Netanyahu's war crimes during Davos, and I was just like, this is kind of taking a weird turn of events here. I don't know. Maybe it's just all posturing. Like, well, we have some people here that are less pro-Israel than the United States, so we gotta appease that. I don't know what the overall. I know the U.S. stance would be all pro-Israel, at least from the tops, from our
my guess
officials.
is it would be similar to where the UN is. Basically like, hey, Israel, you need to back off. You're getting a little bit too aggressive over there.
So this thing, like I said, is at a high-end resort with private jets. You gotta always mention the private jets.
Absolutely, yeah.
Gotta mention the private jets.
That way they don't have to pay $16,000 round trip, right?
Expensive food, champagne. I've got this. I wanted to make sure I have it. Talk about what these people that are discussing the poor and the inequality, what they got to experience at this Davos. Let me get this pulled up. This is from New York Post. It says Davos's party secrets: caviar, magic mushrooms, champagne, and A-list private concerts.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Anybody good perform?
Probably
Bruce Springsteen, Madonna.
I know Sting was there, I think.
Oh, that figures.
I don't know if he performed. And obviously Will.i.am was there because he's got his own remember, he's like the WF black poster boy, rapper poster boy. Let me see if I can find
2 tickets to Davos Economic Forum. You're looking at $301,000.
Jesus Christ. But it all goes to good cause. It all goes to helping. Right? Like they just donate it back to helping the inequality. All right. So this says caviar, or forget the fondue, caviar, magic mushrooms, gold leaf desserts,
mushrooms?
A-list selfies, $2,500 per night hookers.
What?
And secret diners are likely to be on the menu as scores of private jets touch down in Switzerland as soon as Sunday to bring the world's elite to the small alpine resort town of Davos for what's officially known as the World Economic Forum of 2024. What's it unofficially known as?
Yeah, right.
I'd like to know that.
Supervillain convention.
The supervillain, yes. More than 3,000 Masters of the Universe are expected to show up for the 54th annual event at the Alpine Resort. So we've had 54 of these bullshit conventions since its founding. The theme this year is rebuilding trust. You can almost smell the magic of the place when you're there. That's the mushrooms, the magic mushrooms.
Right.
Everyone's got an agenda, and you never know who you're going to run into when you come out of the restroom. It could be Bill Gates.
Beautiful.
I've seen Bill Gates before in
Have you?
person. Oh yeah. Yeah. I wasn't close up. I looked in a room. I was actually with this group, and we would go and do things at Microsoft conventions. They had all these Microsoft conventions all over, and they would pay us to do it. We would do just like putting out flyers on the seats and doing bullshit work like that, like bitch work. Well, I was just walking through this hotel, and I glanced over in this cafe, and there was a group of people like having like a Q&A type thing, and there's Bill Gates standing there doing the Q&A. I didn't know at the time how evil of a person he was.
At the time, you were like, "Oh wow, that's awesome! It's Bill Gates."
If I would have now, I would have. I don't know what I would have done.
Boo!
Boo! Yes, that's about it. Says you're around some of the smartest people in the world, but one thing you learn is that they're not always so smart.
Fair enough.
WF head Klaus Schwab, while portrayed as a real-life Dr. Evil in far-right circles, is probably more of a high-rent P.T. Barnum than a sinister global conspiracist. Last year, Vanity Fair pointed out that Schwab developed the forum from an earnest meeting of policy wonks into a glittering assembly of the world's richest people. He achieved this by integrating himself with those who wield power, and especially the billionaire class, a tribe known as Davos Man. Not all Davos men or women are created equal, though. There's a caste system that separates the merely connected from the apex of the elite.
Does that surprise you at all?
No, there's like the A class, and then there's all the way down to like the celebrities that they invite just to entertain and stuff like that, or to say, hey, we got this I don't know, like we got this like they called them like social leaders.
Oh,
we've got this guy, he's like of the people down here, and they're just PR type shit.
I'm sorry, you're not in the proper bathroom.
Everyone has to wear a colored badge with their full name on it at all times, and the color is an instant way of judging their importance. The real flex being so famous you hide the badge. Like, I don't need a badge, you know who I am. White badges are the most expensive accreditation, but also available only to the very top tier business leaders. Being a CEO is not enough. Your company must be a household name, or at least a household name in the biggest boardrooms. If you look up name dropping in the dictionary, you'll see a photo of Davos. Says, but you know what? I've never left the mountain without learning something important or making a new friend. That was, I can't remember who said that. Other more lowly badges in a rainbow of colors are given to the white badge holders' entourages, to less important CEOs and nonprofit bosses, to the media, to WEF staff, and to legions of staff who cater to their needs. Political heavyweights like Chinese Premier Li Qiang, French President Emmanuel Macron, whatever his name is, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, and President Biden's climate envoy John Kerry will be jostling for invitations to the best cocktail parties this year. I wanted to get into because it talked about the stuff they got. Says, for most, nighttime brings crowded cocktail parties where lavish canopies, some flecked with caviar, are served with champagne, and there are lines for selfies with A-listers that have included everyone from Matt Damon to Priyanka Chopra over the years, but where attendees stay on the feet and likely have to listen to a speech from one of the organizations hosting it. Both private dining and cocktail scenes can converge at private performances by world-famous artists such as Lenny Kravitz, Chris Martin of Coldplay, and Black Eyed Peas. Nile Rodgers or Will I Am, or Nile Rodgers and Will I Am and Cool and Dre are expected to perform this year. Once it was Marissa Mayer of Yahoo who hosted the biggest names, but now it's Ben Waff who books acts. And like Mayer, he is an enthusiastic participant on the dance floor. Scaramucci is once again hosting the wine soiree, this time at the Hotel Europe. His wine list features a relatively economic $260 bottle of Laurent Perrier Grand Ciel champagne for bubble fans, and hits the high notes with an 802 bottle of Domaine Comte Georges de Vogue Bonnes Maris Grand. What the fuck?
That's got to have a nickname. Nobody orders that by its full name.
No shit. They don't have to. If you know what it is, you don't have to order
exactly. It's just there.
Yes. And then this bottle of something, Chateau something, retails at $9.95 a bottle. So you're talking
$995.
Yes, $995 a bottle. Matt Damon, Goldie Hawn, Richard Bronson, and Andrea Bocelli, and now First Lady Jill Biden have been among the bold-faced names at Scaramucci's past parties. So you see kind of what I'm getting at. This isn't like a charity event. Well, it is kind of a charity event because at a lot of charity events there, it's like $600 a plate.
Yeah.
It's like you realize you could have done $25 a plate, got quite a bit of food, and then donated the rest of that to your charitable cause of your own choice.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So just sound like something you want to hit up?
I don't know if I can afford to walk by there.
I still want to know why this Will I Am guy is so favored amongst those people.
He's got I don't know, maybe he's got a child trafficking charity or something.
Well, speaking of child trafficking, of course, the specter of Jeffrey Epstein also hangs over Davos, as it has done for years. This year, J.P. Morgan star banker Mary Erdoes is expected. She dealt with Epstein after he was first convicted, was alerted to suspicious activity by him at least 6 times, but even sought tax advice from him. Campbell has her own Epstein connection. She was named in the recent drop of unsealed documents about the late disgraced financier.
Interesting.
There's always been a slight dark side to Davos, said another attendee. You know what they say about the world leaders and top CEOs being psychopaths. In 2016, for instance, former Trade Shift CEO Christian Lang, then 45, was fired last year for allegedly having his assistant sign a slave contract posed for a photo with actor Kevin Spacey. The alleged victim later accused Lang of torturing her even while the two were at Davos. He denies the allegation.
Jeez.
So there's this like high class side, this like party side, and then there's also, well, there's this slight Epstein thing that just kind of hangs over Davos, and there's nothing we can do about it. Stop fucking torturing slaves at your convention. Right. And then maybe you want to have that.
I imagine
don't associate with those people.
Like an Eyes Wide Shut situation.
Right.
You know, people show up in masks and orgies and shit.
I'm sure they don't get to the real secret parties.
Right. No.
Like the private parties they're talking about aren't that private because we know about them. We're talking about the private parties, like the after parties. Yeah. They don't get into the details about the after parties except for when some of them decide to accuse the members of torturing them, of slavery and shit during the meetings. So there's kind of an outsider's perspective of what this thing actually is. Yeah. And again, you know, these people, even while they're dancing, they're bumping shoulders and like trading secrets. And it's like, come by my booth. Yeah. Do you think that booths at these things?
No.
Like I think of conventions, I think of booths, but maybe that's just the low level we're at.
I don't think they have
That's
booths.
how lowly we are. We're talking like trade conventions with booths, and these are, it's like, come by my billionaire booth.
They're sitting out there handling pamphlets. Have you thought about investing in
Have you found a good hooker lately?
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, this year's theme is rebuilding trust. I wanted to take a look at what was on the docket this year, some of the key points discussed at this year's, just kind of an overview.
I can see them sitting there having high stakes poker games like gambling away countries.
Oh, probably.
I'll raise you Nigeria.
Well, that's probably how that country in Africa lost its airport to
Right,
China. They
yeah.
probably somebody gambled it away at a poker game at freaking
yeah.
Davos. So here is 6 takeaways from the 2024 World Economic Forum in Davos. Now, this article sucks because it says 6 well, first of all, it's not going to show me any of it.
Yeah, I pulled up 10 and they were all dumb.
Well, this one started at number 2 when I first, and I think it ended on like 8. I was like, not really sure what they were going with, but let's see if it'll actually, it's not gonna let me see it all.
That's dumb.
That is really dumb. Let me see if I can pull it up from my phone and we'll read it together. 6 takeaways. Maybe they don't want us to know now.
I was going to say, someone's like, how'd that article get out of there?
Number 2 of 8, this says.
Oh.
CEOs are really nervous about geopolitics. So the biggest thing, like last year, the biggest thing was the economic issues, like inflation and this and that. This year is the geopolitics, like all the fucking wars that are going on that they had a big hand in causing.
My guess is if they're nervous about geopolitics, they're small fish.
Probably,
the BlackRocks, the Vanguards, they're like, you're nervous about it?
No, this is great.
We make it happen.
This is great. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Says, we asked Paul Knopp, the CEO of KPMG US, what he came to Davos feeling most worried about. He echoed a common refrain heard in Davos this week. Last year, for me, it would have been the economy. I'm more concerned right now about the number of geopolitical concerns around the world that could create shocks. The war that's happening in the Gaza Strip, in Israel, what's happening in the Red Sea and the Suez Canal, and how that's disrupting some supply chains. Doesn't mention all the people that are being genocided right now and being completely like starved to death and bombs going off. He's like, I'm really kind of concerned about the blocking of the supply chain and in the Red Sea and the Suez Canal.
It's making our bottom line kind of dip just a tad.
Yeah. And how that's disrupting supply chains, the continued concerns around the world in Ukraine, and continuing impacts on energy security and food security that still have extreme importance to a lot of parts of the world, including Europe. And then, just the tension among countries that might be a little more nationalistic and their behavior more isolationist. To me, that warrants some high level of concern.
Populous countries.
Yes. Or as the WEF puts it, this year's meeting convened against the most complex geopolitical and geoeconomic backdrop in decades, making the need for purpose-driven, impactful action all the more important. Number 3 of 8 of 6. Politicians are nervous about the fate of democracy.
Oh.
I mean,
God bless them.
Yeah. I mean, you get all these countries that are voting in these nationalistic or populist people, so they're concerned about democracy.
Mm-hmm.
It says with elections this year in countries are home to a combined 4.2 billion 4.2 billion people. Democratic leaders are worried about the threats of fascism, nationalism, disinformation, and other number of risks for free societies. We are now reaching a watershed moment. Isn't every election even every year a watershed moment?
Yeah.
2024 will be the year when European countries and the EU will be in a position to decide if we want to be sovereign or not. French President Emmanuel Macron said, addressing just one region where elections are coming up soon. The next one. Economists are pretty evenly split in their forecasts. The latest survey of chief economists conducted in November and December, 56% said they expect the global economy to weaken this year. But that means 44% of them don't. That was literally all that key takeaway was.
I had heard where some guy, he was former United States Secretary of Treasury, and he was like, yeah, I'm looking for inflation to continually kind of climb. And then the Swiss bank was like, well, we're prepared to cut our interest rates to almost negative. And then the guy's like, yeah, well, that's why you lost like $346 billion last year.
Yeah.
And they're just like, so.
Well, I had heard the Feds lost like billions of dollars this last year because of the inflation hike, because they had to pay, or the interest hike, because that's why the Fed actually wants to keep interest rates low. It's not for the good of us. It's so when they go pay off their debts, they're not having to pay interest on their debts. So the Feds were like, this article came out last week that the Feds lost like $500 billion or something last year just due to interest hikes.
Wow.
And they're trying to rein in the inflation and interest hikes this year so they don't lose money. Number 5, the connection between climate and health are getting clearer.
Oh boy.
The UN's COP Environmental Conference had its first ever health day last year. In Davos, several panels nodded to the increasing awareness about how climate change affects human health. In one of them, Nícia Trindade Lima, Brazil's Minister of Health, described her long list of concern, including waterborne and mosquito-borne disease that comes with flooding and extreme rainfall, malnutrition that comes with drought, the overburden on public health infrastructure during climate-induced health crises, the damage to those facilities from extreme weather, and the mental health impact of physical stressors tied to climate change. Number 6, it's a good time for companies to get their data cleaned up. This gets into the AI stuff, which we'll talk a little bit more later on. AI was a huge one. It made number 6 and 7 of 8 of 6. So those are the main talking points this year that courts came up with, even though some of them were just like 2 sentences. It was just like, is that a key talking? If it's such a key takeaway, you didn't have anything more to say than that 2 sentences about what was the one that was just like, they're concerned.
Yeah.
The nervousness about democracy was one that was super short. We are concerned about democracy.
Yes. So we're going to have to take over and make sure democracy works the way it's supposed to.
How much do we truly need these men deciding really our futures and all these key concerns that they produce the most climate change? They produce the most problems with economic fallout.
Yeah. Geopolitical situations.
They create the wars that create the geopolitical situations.
Yeah.
So I was going to talk about all the people that attended. We're kind of, I don't want to just rattle off a bunch of lists.
Yeah. Right.
Like here's a handful of the companies. I think we talked about this last year, so not a whole lot has changed.
Yeah. Usual suspects.
Let's see. The richest people in the world, obviously. The U.S. has the most people there.
Really?
They had like 27%.
That bothers me.
Of the people there. Political leaders include there's only one G8 leader, Olaf Scholz of Germany. He won't be lonely though. Heads of 40 nations will make an appearance. Belgium, Colombia, Ecuador, Finland, Greece, Iraq, Korea, Mozambique, Pakistan, South Africa, Spain, and Zimbabwe. Former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair will be there. That's exciting. U.S. climate change envoy John Kerry will be there.
Ugh.
And Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko from Ukraine.
Interesting.
Let's see. Portion of top country attendees that are public figures. The U.S. is only 2.8%. Germany has 10.8%. India has a lot. China has, or not China, South Africa has a ton. So
there's a reason for that.
Yeah, because those leaders are the rich people of their countries, probably.
Well, that and I think we'll get into it, but they really want to push AI into the Africa and India.
Kind of like vaccines.
Yeah, right.
Business leaders include Wal Sawan of Shell, Andy Jassy of Amazon, Jane Fraser of Citigroup, Stephanie Bancel of Moderna, yay, and Lawrence Fink of BlackRock.
Oh, Lawrence Fink.
Yeah, our favorite evil mastermind. Members of the media. Well, here's the companies with most representatives at Davos. CNBC has the most attendees at Davos. CNBC has 13. BlackRock only has 7. Google has 7. Unilever has 7. Wall Street Journal has 7. And then some others. There was a couple interesting people. Here we go. Interesting attendees. British actor Idris Elba and his wife Sabrina Dowry Elba, who is a UN Goodwill ambassador.
Interesting.
This part bothers me the most. I don't know why this isn't popped up here. Donald Trump's son-in-law and founder of private equity firm Affinity Partners, Jared Kushner, is there.
I don't like that.
Why this bothers me is because I see all these like Twitter posts about how evil Davos is and the WEF, and it's like, this is why we need Donald Trump in office, because he would not stand for this globalist. Like, he's supposed to be the anti-globalist guy, and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is there.
Yeah, probably looking
yucking it up
after
with them.
his father-in-law's interests.
Oh,
right?
I'm sure he is. Another, speaking of anti-globalists, an interesting person that made it on the docket was Javier Milei of Argentina, the supposed first libertarian.
Did you hear his speech though?
I read parts of his speech. I got like some parts of it here. We're not going to watch it.
Yeah.
But apparently Fox News says he had truth bombs. He was dropping truth bombs.
Yeah.
Now there's some other issues I have with him being there.
Yes.
I don't know if I trust this guy.
Oh, I don't trust any
like we talked about him. He was like, yeah, we're going to end all this freaking blah, blah, blah. Right. And we're going to switch to the American dollar. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah. Right.
So you're doing what now?
Yeah.
This says Argentine president was praised for calling out Davos elites for abandoning freedom for socialism and drops truth bombs. Do you think if this guy wasn't a well-connected, like, inside man, do you think he'd even be allowed there to just come up and be like, y'all fucking suck. You're all a bunch of commies. We need Donald Trump. And we need more You think he's like really an anarcho-capitalist if he's even like attending the freaking WEF?
You would think, he would turn his back on it.
Yeah. He'd be like, fuck that. We're going to do this on our own. It says new Argentine president Javier Milei stunned social media users this week with his speech at the World Economic Forum. It says he called out Western elites for trading freedom for collectivism. Milei, a self-described anarcho-capitalist that is now bumping shoulders with the most elite of the world,
yes,
elected to office in November based on his commitment to slashing government spending, confronted those attending the Davos gatherings on Wednesday, telling them the West is in danger because of their agenda, which I am here helping you with.
Yes.
Today, I'm here to tell you the Western world is in danger. And it's in danger because those who are supposed to have defended the values of the West are co-opted by a vision of a world that inevitably leads to socialism, and thereby to poverty. Unfortunately, in recent decades, motivated by some well-measuring individuals willing to help others, and others motivated by the wish to belong to a privileged caste, the main leaders of the Western world have abandoned the model of freedom for different versions of what we call collectivism. We're here to tell you that collectivist experiments are never the solution to the problems that afflict the citizens of the world. Rather, they're the root of the cause. And that's why I'm here spending how many thousands of dollars to get a ticket to Davos?
Yeah, it was $286,000 for one person.
So my country is like in the toilet right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to spend $286,000 to come here and tell you how bad this event is by supporting you with my $286,000.
Well, and the scary thing is most likely he's there looking for investors.
Oh, he is. Absolutely.
It says, come invest in my country.
Do believe me, no one is a better place than us Argentines to testify to these points. His message especially resonated with conservatives on social media who expressed satisfaction at seeing a world leader slamming some of the world's leftist elites to their faces. Political activist Colin Rugg posted the video and quoted from the speech saying, "New president of Argentina demolishes socialism in front of a bunch of socialists at the World Economic Forum." Now you got to realize this guy is here. He can't give this persona of supporting this, but he's supporting it.
Right.
And like one of the parts that bothers me is I saw this Twitter post. This is some of the stuff that Fox News isn't reporting on.
Right.
Let's see if it'll actually pull up. Because he had all this negative stuff to say about all these rich billionaires that pretty much bankrupted his country, right?
Right.
One of the things it says he was quite.
Sorry.
Says Milei was quite the toast of Davos elite this week, notwithstanding the fact he's on record calling climate change a socialist lie. The Argentine economy is in such bad shape. So this is, it said, this is the IMF chief, Kristalina Georgieva, said the Argentine economy is in such bad shape that it has to be shaken up. President Milei and his team are doing exactly that. Now, this is the International Monetary Fund chief saying, this guy's got it. This guy's got it right. Even though he's saying on paper he's going to break from all that freaking connection stuff. She is saying, or he, I don't know, Kristalina sounds she.
Which I had heard, and this is weird, that so he's working with what's the CBDCs, right? He's trying to get those going.
Yeah.
But he is the only country working with the IMF rather than the BCO, which is working with other countries to develop it. Yeah. And so I thought that was kind of weird.
So he's like the IMF poster child. He's their experiment, and he doesn't even realize it. Or he does realize it, but he's trying to
he doesn't care. He thinks he's using them, but they're using him.
Right. It says Milei returned the favor, saying that the CEOs assembled for his speech were social benefactors and heroes.
Yeah.
So he's here
dropping both sides,
dropping these truth bombs and slamming these socialists for being socialists. But he's also saying, but you guys are the real heroes here.
Yeah. Yeah.
2 thumbs up.
You're the ones keeping this world running.
Yeah, it's like he's kissing ass.
Yeah.
While saying what he has to say to still say, I'm a libertarian, guys.
Right.
I'm an anarcho-capitalist. An anarcho-capitalist wouldn't be bumping shoulders with the IMF chief. Yeah, right. I'm just saying that enough is alone to say you're not a real anarcho-capitalist. I'm sorry.
No, I'm waiting for Milei to kind of switch.
It's going to happen,
like a Gaddafi or something like that.
We had our concerns. Yeah. Right from the start. Like I did see all the posts. And it's like, oh yeah, this libertarian guy, and he's like shaking up the system. And then when he's like, yeah, we're switching to the dollar for our currency, it's
record
like
scratch.
What?
Who does that?
So you're just enslaving your country more?
Yeah, right.
And you are not having any control over your own currency whatsoever? Yeah, that sounds like the anarcho-capitalist way.
Like, did the NED put you up to this?
Like, you keep using the word.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean what you think it means. Says the bottom line is, for the time being, Milei seems to be able to draw on the wellspring of support and goodwill from the international community. While he's standing on a camera saying, y'all are bad, but it's like, but you're the real heroes, guys.
Yeah, right.
It's like, there's definitely more to him. He's not this Lord and Savior of Argentina, just like Donald Trump isn't the Lord and Savior of the United States.
Yeah, and I it really bothers me that Jared Kushner was there. It doesn't
surprise
me, but it bothers me
either. I mean, he's always been in. Yeah, he's been more of the face of the shady global dealings.
Yeah, he's the Hunter Biden of the family.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, Donald Trump didn't do this, but your son-in-law was out there doing it for you. That's how that worked out. So did you feel that he showered them with truth bombs, or he was kissing more asses?
No, he was, like you said, he was kind of trying to play both sides.
Yeah.
Trying to be like, hey, we're not putting up with this because freedom rules. And then he's like, love you guys.
Peace. You guys are great. You guys are great. You're great. You're great.
Yeah. You're okay.
Socialism sucks, but you're good. You're good. And you're cool.
Right.
He's probably like, but you're not actually socialist, guys.
Yeah.
You're the equitable, what do they call it? Equitable capitalism or whatever.
Yeah.
Back to Donald Trump though.
Yes.
So WEF pretty much all but declared that Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States.
I was really surprised by that.
They're like, guys, it's gonna happen.
Could you imagine if you were Biden sitting in the crowd when they said that, and him be like,
it's like, oh fuck. It's like they called it. Well, I saw there was some more lefty sites. I was like, WEF has all but declared Donald Trump the winner of 2024, but they've been wrong a lot.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, well, they're like, we can't trust these guys at all now because they said that.
Yeah, the article I saw is the WEF goes right, and I'm like, do they though?
I saw that too. Probably because they had Milei there, who was supposedly righter than
Yeah.
left,
Yeah.
and then they said Donald Trump might win this thing.
And there was some ass kissing to Trump. There was a couple heads of banks that were talking about him and how he's right a lot.
Well, yeah,
and,
because they
yeah,
collectively
they see the writing
decided
on the wall. Yeah.
that this is going to happen. So like, maybe we shouldn't talk shit about him and get him on it. Remember last time he took over as president, he was like cutting ties with the globalist movements. He was cutting ties with the climate policies, cutting ties with the trade policies and all these things. Maybe we should start kissing his ass now because it seems like he's a shoe-in for this. So maybe we shouldn't get him pissed off just yet. So they're all like, whoa, did you hear about this Donald Trump guy? This is just like this great guy, man. Did you hear how great Donald Trump is? And like now the narrative is all of a sudden going to shift about how great of a guy Donald Trump is because they don't want him to come in and slash all the shit that they've been building since Biden took office. Now, the WEF leaders are trying to determine how they will Trump-proof their economies.
Interesting.
Did you see John Kerry's speech? And he's just like, I hope to God it doesn't happen, but God forbid somebody else get elected president. He's not going to be able to undo what we're doing here because we are like the markets have spoken. So he can't just come in with policies because this is the markets making these changes. It's like, yeah, the markets that are subsidized by all these governments and the green agenda that's subsidized by the Build Back Better or the what was the big bill that was passed that was just it was
the infrastructure.
Yeah, the infrastructure bill and things like that all just propped up by governments. But no, there's no possible way. But we stand for democracy. But there's no way if this guy gets elected, he's going to be able to change the shit that we're doing behind closed doors without votes. Because this from Fox News as well. It says WF leaders pressed on how they will Trump-proof their economies. I think it's funny when an American top dog, as he considers himself, like John Kerry, goes up and just like pretty much bashes another top dog of the United States. It's like, well, we're going to make sure our guy doesn't undo what we're doing here. Oh, geez, is it not going to show me anything? Let me read this story either.
No, is it just a video?
Oh, I got to join for access. God damn it.
Who wants to do that?
Like, what is happening tonight? We got to see some of this stuff though, or we got to talk about it at least because it's freaking ridiculous. Let's see. From Fox News. Oh, I got to join on this one now. What the fuck is going on, Fox? All right, I'm going to try to join, I guess.
Good luck.
Bear with me.
Congratulations. Sean Hannity is going to give you a phone call.
Check your inbox. God, I hope Sean Hannity doesn't call me. He's just going to interrupt me and talk over me.
Right.
All right.
Hey, thanks for calling. We're out of time.
We're out of time. Sign in to Fox News. Success! You are now logged in to Fox News. Now, so can I read my article now? That would be freaking great. No, it's not going to let me. What the fuck is happening? God damn it. Let's try one more time.
Do you have to like confirm?
I don't know. I did in the email and it said, success, you have now joined. Join Fox News for access to the... It just came right back to the same thing. I did, you assholes. By entering your email, you are agreeing to our terms. I've entered my email.
You are agreeing to terms.
Anything?
Check
your inbox. Jesus. Sign in. Success. You've signed into Fox News. Jeez, this is ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. Oh my God. What is happening? Fuck you, Fox News.
There it is. Did you get it?
No, it's just popping things. Oh, maybe I did. Oh, right, here we go. All right. Bloomberg television host Francine Lacqua asked leaders of the WEF Friday about how they would prepare for a very real possibility of Donald Trump's re-election. Lacqua hosted a panel on the global economic outlook on closing day of the forum in Davos, where Trump's return is viewed with concern. She first turned to David Rubenstein, the co-founder and co-executive chairman of the Carlyle Group, one of the world's largest private equity firms and one of the evil villains of the world. David, a number of leaders have expressed concern of what Donald Trump and the White House means for fragmentation for foreign policy. Is there any way the rest of the world can Trump-proof their economies? Because Donald Trump was such a bad thing for the world economies.
Yeah.
If somebody has a way to do that, I think they should patent it and probably sell it to somebody else, he said. It'd be very difficult to do. Lackey then turned to Germany's federal minister of finance, Christian Lindner, and asked how he thinks Europe should prepare. It's like Hitler's coming to power.
I know,
literally.
right?
I think we're talking too much about Donald Trump in Europe. He's the one we don't speak of. And we should prepare ourselves for a possible second term for Donald Trump by fostering our European competitiveness. Doing our homework is the best preparation for a possible second term of Trump, and this includes our capabilities to defend ourselves.
Really?
This is Europe we're talking about.
Attack?
This is Europe we're talking about. Like, they're supposedly our allies.
Right.
They said, or it says, he went on to argue that working to an attractive partner on eye level, in terms of economics in NATO is the best way to ensure a good partnership with the United States, to the point that it won't matter whether Biden or Trump ultimately win the presidency. European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde answered, I think the best defense, if that's the way you want to look at it, is attack. And to attack properly, you need to be strong at home. So being strong means to have a strong, deep market, having a real single market.
Well, they just want to do that anyways. I mean,
well, it's basically saying we're going to have to not be so dependent on the United States, which is what Donald Trump was going for to begin with. So if he comes in and they're like, hey, Don, guess what? Joke's on you. We're not going to be dependent on you anymore. He's like, well, that got good. That was my first 6 months in the office. What am I going to do now?
Yeah, right.
You know, like he was like, I was gonna slash all the funding to Europe and make them more dependent on themselves, like I did so bigly in my first term. And they're like, we're not gonna be dependent on you anymore. He's like, okay. It's like, how is that a negative thing? But
I know.
But the one thing is where they say they're talking about having a real single market, like all of Europe needs to get together and be against the United States.
I guess that was one of the things they've talked about, is building a centralized European bank that all the nations in the EU can use.
Fuck them, let them.
Well, yeah,
let them.
I say,
let them.
Who cares?
Fund yourselves. That's fucking fine.
Yes,
I get that. Maybe it'll hurt our global markets, but isn't that what we want anyway?
Yeah, right.
I mean, he supposedly wants less globalism, less of these freaking big ass trade deals, and they're like, we're not gonna have big ass trade deals with you anymore. It's like, all right. Derek's here. Derek says if Trump wins, they should probably look into reinforcing their borders and the Baltic nations.
Right.
So that's all that says about that. So I just found it hilarious how they're like, we're going to go on the defense.
Yeah.
We got to prepare for attack. We got to prepare to defend ourselves. It's like,
yeah.
Who hurt you?
Yeah, I know, right?
Like who who hurt you?
Yeah. He's gonna make us take our responsibility with NATO. Okay. That's what we got to look forward to, people.
Yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to have to make ourselves so it doesn't matter if Trump comes into office, because we're going to become more influential in NATO. It's like, that's what I wanted you to do this whole time. Just fucking pay your own bill. That would be great. And then you want to, if they had been, instead of following this whole freaking blueprint, build back better blueprint for the last 4 years. Maybe if they had started when Trump was saying all this shit back 4 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever, it's like, y'all need to step up for yourselves. Y'all need to take care of yourselves. I don't want, we shouldn't be fronting your bill. Maybe if they take the stance, it's like, you know what? Maybe we just need to build stronger markets of our own. And fuck you. Imagine where they'd be today,
know, right?
where they wouldn't even have to have this conversation. It's like, well, we need to defend ourselves against this by having stronger markets of our own.
Right.
It's like, you could have been doing that for the last 6 years and had raging markets by now. Where it wouldn't matter what the U.S. bullshit elections did anyway if you would just like front your own bills, like he said in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's
funny.
that. That's
hilarious.
the whole Donald Trump. We've got Donald Trump, who is predicted to win, and that's obviously bad. And the rest of the world needs to defend themselves against it.
So they're going to make themselves better, so that they can get ready for Donald Trump.
Yes, exactly. The biggest threat to the world right now is Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Not even the war in the Gaza Strip or the war in Ukraine combined. It's
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Yes.
Possible re-election.
Yes.
There was, I don't know. There was some other stuff with Trump. I'm trying to remember what it was though. I don't know. Do you think they pissed a lot of people off by predicting that Trump would win this shit?
Probably. I imagine a lot of the celebrities, U.S. celebrities, were probably like,
"Boo!
Fuck. Guess I'm moving to Canada."
do you think that Europe at the end of the day, if Trump's elected, they kind of turn from the U.S. I know the whole Davos model is to kind of turn more to like the China model.
Right.
Do you think this Trump thing might be the push for those nations to like, because I mean, there was a lot of Chinese presence. They were kind of kissing China's ass.
They were, right.
Davos.
And China and India's ass, they were kissing a lot. And I can see them moving away, because I can see them looking at Trumpism as kind of like a epidemic, right? When you look at like Poland's gone more populous, Italy's gone more populous, it's like, oh fuck, this is spreading.
Trumpism is disease X.
Yes,
that's what they're telling
and that's
us,
exactly it.
Trumpism is disease X.
So yeah, I could see that's their real defense against him, is trying to keep populism out of their country.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Did you see the video? There was that guy that stood up and he's like, all you guys are talking about defending democracy and blah, 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 and anti-Trump this and blah, blah, blah. And you're like the exact opposite. Like democracy, he's like, you're calling this guy a fascist, but what you're doing here is literally promoting fascism by saying that if people have open elections and vote for somebody like Donald Trump, that's a bad thing for democracy.
No,
He's like,
I didn't see that. Interesting.
Yeah, he kind of got up and slammed him a little bit. But
how did they respond?
It was zoomed in on his face.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. It's hard for me to picture that they would actually allow somebody. They have to vet all these speakers. They do. They have to.
Yeah.
I feel like they have to have some of that controlled opposition out there.
Yeah.
That's like, you guys are the problem, not Donald Trump's not the problem. And so they could be like, whoa, you're just a Trump supporter. And they've got this all pre-planned out. It's not like this guy got up and shocked the Davos convention by saying Donald Trump's great and you guys are fucking fascist pigs.
Right. Yeah.
They knew what he was going to say.
Yeah.
So
Right.
like, what are you really there for? Because it's not to get up there and say, y'all are a bunch of dicks, because they're not going to let somebody like that. They're not going to let somebody like, if Milei was the disruptor of the globalism that he says he is, do you think they're going to allow him to buy a ticket to Davos, to the biggest globalist convention, and be like, globalism sucks?
No. Well, the main reason is they all see Argentina as fertile land, right?
Yeah. It's like,
it's another investment opportunity.
Right. So that's all this stuff. We do need to get into break. I want to come back. I want to talk about a little bit about AI, because you had seen more about the metaverse stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't even get into the metaverse stuff. And then obviously we got to talk about disease X, because it's the greatest medical threat likely to human history.
Yes.
And we haven't even discovered it yet. That's how how bad it is.
Yes. Again,
It's a sneaky one. Yes. So we all know what happens when these people get up there and predict that this bad disease is going to happen.
It happens.
It usually is a precursor to it happening. So I want to talk about that too. And then I want to talk about this potential disease X that might actually be out there now. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to continue this at Davos Fun Fest, I guess. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. If I can never find my fucking buttons. We'll be right back.
Take a moment and remember the feeling. When they called you not essential. When they dictated what you could do, where you could go, how you could breathe. It's disgusting, isn't it? And they're trying to do it again. We've seen what happens when the people lose control. When politicians and unelected bureaucrats make the big decisions on our behalf, whether we like them or not. When the choices are taken away from us one by one. We've seen what happens when they strip away medical freedom, when they trample on informed consent, when they dismiss our cries of justice. They laughed at us. They called us names.
Rest in peace, Wheezy.
Them, their freedom. I want my freedom to live.
And they shamed us for not going along with their every demand. Enough already. It's time to hold these tyrants accountable. In the midst of them trying to do it again, this wasn't a public health measure. This was an act of war against a peaceful people. But a reckoning is coming, and we're leading the charge. This campaign is for all of us. I'm asking you to join this movement that's for every single person who felt the crushing weight of mandates, the sting of being called unessential, the pain of having your liberties stripped away. I'm Joshua Smith, and I'm running because you are essential, and because our freedoms are non-negotiable. Not last time, not this time, not ever again.
I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good.
We faced the challenges. We felt the pain, but we're not defeated. Together, we have the power to create a brighter future, one where liberty thrives and tyranny dies. I endorse prosecuting the COVID tyrants and using Guantanamo Bay to lock them away for their crimes against humanity. In the face of all of this happening again, where they think we're stupid enough to fall for it, in 2024, a vote for me is a vote for vengeance. Go to joshuasmith2024.com to find out how you can help.
I know it's not a good time for you. You've got
And it's about time we address the situation and begin to get back to you. We hold a candlelight vigil for your self-respect. A reputation destroyed by what you can expect to be the faceless in between. Because I know you can handle it. To face the truth of the matter, it's still so much better to leave the light than drag it to your grave. Because you see what to make of this. How you can turn your own tables and work this. And take advantage of your failure like you planned to anyway. And it's about time we address the situation and begin to get back to you. We hold a candlelight vigil for your self-respect. A reputation destroyed by what you can expect to be the faceless in between. You're still alive, but you've been dead inside for a long time. And I understand why. But you did this to yourself. You did this to them. You don't even remember the names. Watch the things like when they got you. Watch the things like you do when I tried to do. You know they won't. You know you deserve to be forgotten. Now you're everything you always decided. The moments you killed for those innocent lives. All this effort to cover up what you did done. We already know. We already see. Wake up and be better before you. And it's about time we address the situation and begin to get back to you. We hold a candlelight vigil for your self-respect. A reputation destroyed by what you can expect to be the faceless in between.
We're back. We're talking about the Davos party, which was the great party that we missed, where the big bad evil rulers of the world talk about how they can be bigger and badder and more evil, but also save humanity in the process.
From them themselves.
Do you think they're becoming more obsolete, or do you think they're gaining more traction every time they have these meetings?
I think they're becoming more obsolete.
Think so?
I do.
I think I don't see any like normie out there talking about Davos on Twitter or anything.
Yeah.
It's just like, these guys are out here saving the world. Like, guys, they're doing what we can't do. They're using their fortune, they're using the resources that they have that they stole from us.
Right, yeah.
To save humanity. No, it's always like, well, first, mostly it's like, oh, these guys are flying private jets and talking about climate change. And then you get the people that are like, oh, these guys are evil supervillains that are, under the guise of... It's like nobody is fooled into thinking these guys are doing a good thing there.
Yeah.
Except for themselves. That's why I was saying, are they actually supervillains that are trying to destroy and enslave humanity? Or are they just total no self-awareness, egotistical, and whatever, sociopath?
Every time Klaus Schwab gets up there, I mean, whoever's talking about him refers to him as a Bond villain,
or Dr. Evil, or something like that. And nobody that I've ever encountered on social media in real life is like, man, that Klaus Schwab guy,
I'd like to sit down and have a beer with him.
Yeah, he knows what's up. He's got this thing figured out, and we should follow him and do what he says.
Yeah.
No, it's always like, these guys aren't that good. Yeah. And they're up there like, guys, we're heroes and we're saving humanity.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And we're like, but are you? Now, the theme, like I had mentioned before, was how can we build, or it was rebuilding trust.
Yes.
And so I've got some. This is from the World Economic Forum's website.
Oh, beautiful.
Key quotes from 8 leaders about how we can they can rebuild trust.
This
in
will be
them.
good.
Yes. Now you gotta really listen to all these. So we've got a handful of them. Antonio Gutierrez, one of our own, says, when global norms collapse, so does trust. I'm personally shocked by this systematic undermining of principles and standards we used to take for granted. I'm outraged that so many countries and companies are pursuing their own narrow interests without any consideration for our shared future or the common good.
Common good.
He goes on to say, and I'm certain that unless we take action, we can expect much, much worse. So let's be clear. Rebuilding trust is not a slogan or a PR campaign. It requires deep reforms to global governance to manage geopolitical tensions during a new era of multipolarity. So to rebuild trust, Antonio Gutierrez says, we do that through deep reforms in global governance.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like we just reform all the government.
They just have too much freedom.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
Right.
Says it's essential to building a safer, more stable, and more prosperous world.
And I noticed in Davos, there is in all the different talks about rebuilding trust and the meta and the AI and all that, they use the word safe a lot.
Oh yeah,
making it safe, making it safer, making it.
What is their
safer for the
definition of
public.
safer?
In control, basically.
Enslavement.
Yes, that's the way.
Enslavement
Yes,
is safer.
like we'll make it safe, meaning we'll control the conditions for them,
right,
so that they don't hurt themselves.
Ursula von der Leyen of
That sounds
Germany,
like a Bond villain.
yes, says our companies thrive on freedom to innovate and to invest and to compete. But freedom in businesses relies on the freedom of our political system. And this is why I believe strengthening our democracy and protecting it from the risks and interference it faces is our common and enduring duty. So interfering with elections, that's how we rebuild trust.
And protecting the government from populism, right?
Yes.
Making sure that democracy thrives through getting rid of populism.
Exactly. That's how you rebuild trust. We need to build trust more than ever, and Europe is prepared to play a key role.
Beautiful.
Li Qiang, the Chinese premier, says trust had enabled huge progress in economic globalization over the past decades, and its erosion was aggravating risks to global growth and peaceful development. Trust comes from our shared aspiration for a better future for humanity and from our common will to work together for that vision. Strengthening macroeconomic policy coordination to build greater synergy for global growth, and strengthening international industrial specialization and collaboration to keep global industrial and supply chains stable and smooth. Those are the two keys to rebuilding trust. Is more globalization, obviously.
Of course, because China benefits the most from that.
Number 3, strengthening international exchanges and cooperation on science and technology to better benefit humanity with technological advance. Number 4, strengthening cooperation on green development to actively tackle climate change. And 5, strengthening North-South and South-South cooperation to build a universally beneficial, inclusive world economy. So, building a world economy rebuilds trust in the World Economic Forum.
And China wants to take the lead on that.
Yes. The best way that this person goes on, the best way to earn trust is to be a better version of oneself. Only when all sides treat each other with sincerity and work in the same direction can there be stronger foundation of trust and more fruits of cooperation. The best one, Professor Klaus Schwab on trust. Klaus Schwab says, open, transparent conversations can restore mutual trust between individuals and nations who, out of fear for their own future, prioritize their own interests. So basically, we just need to tell them that we want to rule the world and make them eat bugs, and then they'll trust us more.
Yeah.
The resulting dynamic diminish hope in a brighter future. To steer away from crisis-driven dynamics and foster cooperation. Isn't everything he does like crisis-driven dynamics?
Yes, it is.
And foster cooperation, trust, and a shared vision for a brighter future, we must create a positive narrative. We must make up a more positive story
I love it.
for them to trust us, is what it sounds like. That
Yes.
unlocks opportunities presented by this historic turning point. We need to stop with all this crisis fear mongering that we've been doing for the last decade.
Yeah.
We need to make up a more positive spin on it, is what it sounds like he's saying to me.
Populism and nationalism comes from a place of fear, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
too.
people are afraid, so they prioritize their country. If they weren't so scared, they'd be more open to globalism.
We need to make up better stories so
Yes.
people trust us more.
I like it.
Bettina Stark-Watzinger says education and communication are key to rebuilding trust in science. What we see in Germany is that if education goes down, the lack of trust goes up. Basic education is so important to build trust in science and probably in institutions overall. We need to brainwash our kids better.
Yes.
In the education system. We need to brainwash them to trust the science more betterly.
I like it.
That's how we get people to trust us more, obviously. We also need to understand why it's important for us what science is doing. People might not really understand why scientists are doing this research and the relevance of why it's important for us. So we need good communicators in science. We need people to lie better about the science.
Yeah.
Alex Liu, speaking in a session on good growth, lessons from the field, Liu, managing partner and chairman at Kearney, said trust was about an economy that measured more than GDP growth. In order to have trust, you have to believe that the people in power In order to have trust, you have to believe the people in power are authentically committed to actual dialogue and solving problems. Providing these tools, providing the mobility, providing the technology, providing the safety net, and sharing the joy. Measuring the happiness and the sense of belonging. In order to trust, you have to believe that your people over you are authentic.
Sure.
Like if we can make people believe that they're authentically committed to solving problems, then they'll trust us more.
It goes a long way.
Sounds like a lot of lying.
Yeah,
like,
right.
We need to be better liars,
Yeah.
guys. Luke Triangle, that's quite the name.
Is that a real name?
Says trust is crucial to ensuring a just transition. He's the General Secretary of International Trade Union Confederation. It says it's clear that developed countries have to assist in financing of climate action in the developing countries. Because if we don't, inequality will only grow and you'll have winners and you will have losers. So in order to build trust, we need to pay more. It says rebuilding trust can't be limited to only a number of countries. It also has to include the whole world. We need to take everybody on board. I don't know what that has to do with trust, really.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
Japan Shapagain, Chief Executive Officer and Secretary General of the IFRC, says a lot of the crises we are facing around the world, the underlying issue has been the lack of trust. And with technology growing, and of course the AI we're talking about also here is of course the technology brings a lot of positives, but also if it is not used, it can also contribute to eroding the trust. So we need to use more technology to build trust. And that's where I think it's extremely, extremely important that leaders' job is focused on the positive and build or contribute to building that trust. It's a lot. That's just a word salad. Now, building trust means do what you say and say what you mean. And if even leaders do that, that starts recreating trust in the world. And without that, a lot of the other solutions would not produce the result we are looking for. It's like, well, we need to trust and build trust and do what we say and say what we do.
There.
And that way we can create trust. And without doing that, we can't create trust in the world.
Yeah.
So those are the key points.
Yes.
The key quotes from the World Economics Forum's own website on how to rebuild trust.
Yes.
So we need to reform, like deep reforms in global governance to rebuild trust. We need to strengthen democracy by weeding out fair elections, probably.
Yes.
We need to create a positive spin on the narrative.
Good stories.
We need to brainwash kids to be more trusting in the science. And we need to believe that the people in power are authentic
Mm,
and assist in financing of the climate agenda.
of course.
Those things are going to rebuild trust.
Yes.
Those are the smartest people in the world. They're like, these people don't trust us.
Yeah.
We need to talk about this. And it's like, well, we just need to change
Yeah.
government policies so that they trust us more.
Yeah.
Oh, we just need to create a positive spin on things so that it's just like so self-unaware. It's just like, or you could just stop being supervillains
Right.
for
right.
5 seconds.
Yes.
Or put your money where your mouth is. Don't, like, again, this whole thing is an investment seminar, like the wealthiest of the wealthy, and stop trying to figure out how you can score a buck on saving the planet and put your money where your mouth is. Take up a collection plate there and end world hunger. And then if they just like passed around and they all gave like, well, I'm going to give $1 million. I'm going to give what you're talking, you'd probably end world hunger right there.
Right.
What's 1 million times 3,000? That's like
3
that'd be
billion?
3 billion.
Yeah.
So $10 million each out of these multi-billionaires, $10 million each. End world hunger. Put your money where your mouth is. It's like, guys, we just ended world hunger at the 2024
Right,
Davos. So just be like, well, maybe I am building a little bit of trust. It's like, well, what'd you get out of it? It's like, what's the catch? It's like, no, just seriously, we just like handed out money and like gave everybody a house and ended or gave everybody food. We ended world hunger or homelessness. It was 40 billion for homelessness.
Yeah.
We ended homelessness across worldwide, collected $40 billion amongst the 3,000 richest people in the world just to say we are here to do good.
Right.
And then it'd be like, you know what? I kind of do trust these guys.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but I'd have a little bit more of an inclination to trust these guys.
Right.
But instead they're like, how can we fix this and make money doing so?
Yeah, exactly. How can we manipulate the people to trust us so we can get rich?
Yes, that's
and have more
exactly what it
control?
is. Derek Ambrose says, trust me and my honest intentions. I'm with the WEF. I'm here to help. Well, we're all doomed. So yeah, I wanted to get into the AI stuff because the one guy said that using AI is the way in technology is way
And one of the
to get them to trust us.
One of the things I noticed in this also is there's a big push to get rid of disinformation.
Well, did you
Apparently
see
that's the biggest danger in the world.
Did you see the Wall Street Journal bitch that was like, we don't own the news anymore?
Yeah.
Like she was like, not even 10 years ago, it seems like we had a monopolization on the information and we don't anymore. And she wasn't saying it like it was a good thing. It was like, guys, this is bad. We need to figure this out. That was what's her name? She's the editor-in-chief of the Wall Street Journal. Emma Tucker. She lamented, it says, of the loss of control over facts. I just wanted to read her quote and what she was sad about at the time while she's trying to tell us that we should trust them more.
Right.
Says, I think there's a very specific challenge for legacy brands like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. If you go way back, if you go back really not that long ago, as I said, we owned the news. We were the gatekeepers and we were very much owned the facts as well. If it said in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, then that was a fact, she continued. Nowadays, people can go to all sorts of different sources for their news, and they're much more questioning about what we're saying.
That's a bad thing?
Yeah, that's a bad thing for her. Yeah, then I'm not going to read the rest of this, but this other person continues, disinformation is a very powerful tool. In the EU, we are focusing on improving a system where the people will get the facts right. We don't speak about opinions. We are not correcting anyone's opinions or language. This is about the facts. And like she said, 10 years ago, we owned the facts. What we said was the facts. No matter what it was, we owned the facts. Like, to come out publicly and be like, you know, the biggest problem with trust and stuff is that we don't own what you believe anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you can go out and find and believe something else.
Yeah.
And that's why you don't trust us, because you can find information on your own. And we don't like that.
Yeah. And I thought it was funny because they were talking about how, you know, during the pandemic, you know, how people went out and found other sources of news, right? And how scientists may have got it wrong, but we should have believed them and then gave them a chance to correct themselves and then believe that instead of going
But
to
they
alternate
wouldn't
sources.
correct themselves.
Well,
Is the
exactly.
problem. If we just sat there and believed it, why the fuck would
Yeah.
they correct themselves?
Yeah, exactly.
They're making money off of it.
Yeah. So apparently there's a big push for a lot of countries to establish kind of like this Department of Truth, right? And
I hope they call it the Department of
Right,
Truth.
seriously.
The Ministry of Truth.
So it
I
can't-
hope they definitely call it, just as a big fuck you to us.
Right.
It's like, you want to be transparent, call it what it is.
Yeah.
The Ministry of Truth.
So Canada's looking to push this big bill, and apparently the European Union just passed a bill, a big like anti-disinformation bill that not only is anti-hate speech, but it lists NGOs as something that could have hate speech against it. So in Europe, you can't speak out against NGOs.
What if they're shitty NGOs?
Like the WEF?
What if they are like literally doing bad, shitty things? We can't
Yeah.
say anything against them because they're an NGO, and
Yeah.
that might be
Apparently corporations and NGOs are now entities that you cannot spill hate speech about
any corporations or any NGOs.
in Europe.
Shit, I need to move to Europe, start a corporation, and
Right.
do all kinds of shitty things and make billions of dollars, and nobody can say a goddamn thing about it
Yeah.
because it's illegal.
Right.
That doesn't even make sense.
I know.
Like, that's what the news used to be.
Yeah.
Was calling out shit for being shit, not propping up the companies we like and criminalizing anybody saying it, speaking out against them. But you know if it's a non-ESG corporation, then it's fair game to
Right.
talk shit about
Absolutely.
them. They dug their grave, we get to shovel the shit in it for them. So, but if it's one of these that's under this umbrella that they've created, it's like, well, you can't speak out. That's hate speech against them. The problem is this: too many people are speaking out against these ESG, like Black Rocks and the Bud Lights and the stuff that are like doing this shit that's losing them a lot of money, and they want to rein that stuff in because it's the public. The public perception. It's like the unlimited means of bitching about these companies that are bringing them down. It's like if we weren't allowed to say these things about Bud Light, maybe Bud Light would still have a chance.
Right.
Like, we're just not giving Bud Light the chance.
Yeah.
We just like blackballed them and blacklisted them. And if we can rein that in and say it's illegal to blacklist these people that are doing good,
Yeah.
then we're going to rebuild trust in those brands, because if you can't say the shit, it's not you're not thinking it.
Right.
So people will trust the brand more because all these people aren't talking shit about them. But you know that, like, the companies that are like, fuck that, we're not catering to that agenda. Hate speech is fair game.
Oh, absolutely.
Literal hate
Right.
speech would
Yeah.
be fair game. It's like, just blast the shit all over. Cancel them. Cancel them. Cancel them. They deserve to be canceled, but don't talk shit about ours.
Right.
Our people over here.
We're ESG people.
So let's switch to AI. I had an article where they were just talking about like the regulation of AI, and one of the biggest things was they wanted to build. They couldn't like come to agreement. Like, should there be regulation? Should there not be regulation of it? But one of the things that came up was this kind of network and adaptive governance model. They wanted this like model that networked together between all these like AI companies and stuff and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, that sounds scary as shit to me. But the stuff you mentioned before the show about the meta and stuff was way more interesting to me than this regulation of AI shit. So please talk to me about what they discussed about meta.
Yeah. So
at the WF, because I missed this completely.
Yeah, there's a big push to push like this meta realm, right? They want to call it like a cooperative village that the elites can kind of meet on a regular basis and kind of sit through and discuss things. They were talking about how they can get investments, get people more into meta. And some people were talking about how they need to focus on the safety of meta, right? They need to have strict like governmental implementations, where other people were like, no, we need to focus on like a public where people are or a private ownership where people can invest and own private stuff.
Mhm.
And they said, no, we really need the public realm, the government, to kind of rein it in. So then they were talking about getting kids put into Meta at an early age, so that they
Jesus
can kind
Christ.
of grow
So
up
they
with it
could
and get
traffic
used to
them
it.
on Meta.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Get them used to it. Get them in school in Meta, and really make it just part of their life. And that's some scary shit.
So we can brainwash them better.
Yeah.
At an earlier age. We don't have all this outside distraction from our brainwashing. We can get them sucked. That's why they want to make it public, because you can't have private Meta schools, because then it'd be like homeschooling, or like parents are going to teach their kids not to believe in the freaking pandemics, or the not believe in J6 was the blah blah blah. Like we gotta, like, it's going to be a very over encompassing, like all Meta schools will be one Meta school.
Oh, fuck yeah. And that's what they talked about, was a centralization of the Meta.
That is scary as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to create it? Is it going to be Mark Zuckerberg? Because his Meta's doing great.
Yeah, right.
When was the last time you heard of Mark Zuckerberg's Meta?
His Meta kind of went off the rails.
Well, they lost a shit ton of money by investing so much on the metaverse that I haven't heard much about Mark Zuckerberg and his Meta in probably a year now.
No, I hadn't either. Not since his big announcement.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things they were concerned about is, I guess, the graphics in the Meta, they said right now is impossible to get where they want.
Why?
Because something about, like, when you have so many people involved and you have so many users in it, it's hard to focus on, like, graphics and stuff.
Okay.
So,
well, I don't know. Maybe that's why they're pushing for regulation of the AI, so
get
AI
the AI to
plays,
perfect it, right?
yeah, AI will perfect the Meta. Meta will be one Meta. It'll just be one Meta.
Yeah.
The metaverse. There's not going to be. Is there going to be multiverse of Meta, you think, or you think it's just going to be?
I could see it a
one?
multiverse of Meta. I could see that.
There's going to be like the dark Meta,
right?
Like the dark web, where
yeah.
you can do like unregulated shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be the black Meta, like the black web,
right?
Where there's going to be illegal shit going on. Probably the people that created it are going to be like trafficking your Meta kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's going to be a nightmare. Is what it's going to be.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, have you ever seen Ready Player One? The what that is, which one of the things that one of the ladies brought up was a concern that the mental health issues it'll present to people.
Well, look at the mental health concerns just of social media right now.
Right, exactly.
Like there's like a teen epidemic of mental health.
Yeah,
because of overexposure to social media. Just imagine when they're just 100%
in this world. Right.
Like, it's hard enough for like people in their 20s and lower to disconnect from social media. Like, this is not real life.
Right.
Just so you know, because TikTok has it, that's not real life. Just imagine when their entire world can be just social media all the time, every day in this metaverse, and they can just, they're being kind of pushed and encouraged to disconnect from this reality and be put into this alternate reality. Yes, of course there's going to be social disconnect, because they want you to be socially disconnected and just in this meta field where you can have, was it actual, like, Facebook Meta is like, we'll even create safe rooms, like quiet rooms for Meta. It's like there's this thing called take off the fucking
just
VR
unplug
goggles
and be in your fucking room.
Yeah, just be in like, go literally touch grass, my friend. Yeah, there's like literally going to be no touching grass. They're going to be sucking like pizza through a straw.
We're going to go camping this weekend. You want to go?
Yeah.
Click in and like throw digital, put up a tent. And...
It's like, this is so cool. What is this called?
Wow, I love nature.
Yes, there's going to be mass mental decline. Mass social behavioral decline.
There already is.
Yeah, it's going to like be exponentially so much worse because it's just 100% disconnect.
Yeah.
And that's what they want, because that'll save the environment, because we're not out breathing our carbon dioxide.
Well, and it'll cut way back on disease X, right?
Yeah, and then they'll just eat their bugs.
Right. Yeah. Through a straw that'll taste like whatever Meta wants them to make it taste
Exactly.
like, right?
Oh
God.
What about the physical health concerns?
Well, yeah. Right. They didn't even approach that. Yeah.
Like you just sitting stationary literally all day. Like, hey, your job is going to be in the Meta. You don't even have to get off your fat ass and walk to the office anymore.
Right.
You don't have to get out and breathe oxygen. No, you're just going to be like big old freaking blobs in these oversized chairs.
What's that movie, Wall-E?
Yeah,
right.
Where they're just like plugged in all the time, and they're just fat and just like in this freaking virtual environment.
It's fucking coming.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then diabetes will shoot through. No, can you get diabetes from bugs though? I don't know.
Who knows what
But
you're
you
gonna
know,
get from bugs.
it's going to be all over processed foods.
It is.
It's going to be all like we're going to be breathing our freaking own germs in our like freaking
the death rate will be like, well, you'll be on vitamins, so you know.
Oh, you will. They want the death rate to go
that's
up.
true. They want the birth rate. The birth rate will go way down. The death rate will go way up, and that way they'll be able to control the population.
Yeah,
right.
Until it just like reaches the tipping point where they can't keep up. So they'll start having to create us some petri dishes.
As you're
with the
plugged
one
in,
anyway.
they'll take some DNA as you're sitting there, and you'll have your virtual sex to make it seem good, and you know, little cubed people.
Ew. Stop. It's like recipe for human destruction.
It is. It really is. And it's like they make movies on this shit. Don't people watch things?
Right. And it's the same people that are pushing for the shit.
I know.
It's like, you made this movie and everybody's like, whoa, that's a warning of this technology.
We're going to do it better.
But it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
My mom says bye.
Oh, bye.
Bye,
This
Mom.
is Molt.
Bye. Oh, she said betterly too.
What does betterly mean?
I don't know. It sounds like a Donald Trump thing.
It does.
I don't know. This is gross.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's like they're not even trying to seem like supervillains at this point.
Yeah.
They're not even trying to seem like they're not wanting us to be in a horror movie of epic proportions. I mean, Michael Crichton warned about all this shit in all his books, everything. Like all his books were like the over abuse of technology and how it can get totally out of hand.
Well, and you know, the more people come, you know, dependent on the technology, the easier they are to control.
Yeah.
You know,
we got to talk about Disease X before we
Yes.
run out of time,
Disease
because
X.
that was one of the things, the talking points
Yeah.
that got brought up.
It's coming.
And maybe Disease X is actually like what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Maybe Disease X is the AI or the metaverse, but they seem to think that there's an actual Disease X out there. The WHO is warning about that could be 20 times deadlier than COVID-19.
Well, that would be what?
How do,
Two times, like 2%.
like they want
fatality?
they want us to think that they're not making stuff up.
Yeah, right.
But then they're like, this disease that we've never heard of.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's part of this rebuilding trust thing. Is what scares the shit out of them is nobody trusts the institutions anymore, and they shouldn't. And so it's like, how can we rebuild trust? Hey, let's get rid of anybody who's telling things different than what we want to tell.
How can we rebuild trust? By telling them there's a new superbug that they should be scared of.
Yeah, and they need to depend on us for the information and nobody else.
Cannot get this article to just stay here. It keeps going to other articles.
Weird.
Disease X. WHO warns country of potential pandemic 20 times deadlier than COVID-19. So this is the WHO. You know the WHO that like covered up
Yeah.
the origins of COVID-19 that didn't go in and like investigate the origins of COVID-19 and told us
paid off.
Yeah, and told us, you know, this is definitely came from the bats in the wet market. That WHO.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely trust them.
Tedros Gebri. Jesus, what is happening? They want us to watch some other video,
Yeah,
apparently.
Apparently, they don't want you to read that one.
Tedros Ghebreyesus, Director General of the World Health Organization, urges nations at the World Economic Forum in Davos to endorse WHO's pandemic treaty to prepare for the potential threat of disease X.
Oh, great.
A pandemic treaty they want these nations to sign. How does that sound to you?
Sounds horrible.
This guy, the Director General of the WHO, what the hell? I'm going to have to read this one from my phone, too.
India.
I'm going to have to read this one from my phone, too. I don't know what's going on. I apologize. It's not my fault. Let me find it. The Times of India sucks, apparently.
They do.
He urges nations to endorse this pandemic treaty. Addressing attendees at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Ghebreyesus expressed his aspiration for countries to finalize a pandemic pact by May to combat this common enemy that we don't know what it is yet. Disease X represents a theoretical yet unidentified virus that scientists warned could be 20 times more lethal than COVID-19. Ghebreyesus identified COVID-19 as the initial instance of disease X, emphasizing the importance of readiness for future pandemics. There are things that are unknown that may happen, and anything happening is a matter of when, not if. You remember them saying that about leading up to COVID-19?
Yes.
Pretty sure Bill Gates said that.
I was going to say, what was the little exercise they did that prepared everybody?
I don't remember what it was called, but yeah. So we need to have a placeholder for that. The diseases we don't know. He reflected on the losses during COVID-19 pandemic, attributing them to inadequate management. They could have been saved, but there was no space. There was not enough oxygen. So how can you have a system that can expand when the need comes? The unpreparedness for a disease of this magnitude could lead to catastrophic. Now it's going to do it to this one. What is going on tonight? Says, God damn it, Bill.
Sorry.
The unpreparedness for a disease of this magnitude could lead to catastrophic consequences, potentially surpassing the devastation caused by COVID-19, which claimed over 7 million lives, according to the WHO. So here's some key points about Disease X. Disease X is a placeholder name that was adopted by the WHO in 2018. They're on their short list of blueprint priority diseases to represent a hypothetical unknown pathogen that could cause a future epidemic. So it's not even a disease yet. It's just there is.
It's
could
like
be
they
something
bought
else.
the what's the web page because it's coming.
Right. Could they sue Twitter for using X?
Yeah. You know what?
When they came out with it in 2018.
Interesting.
Maybe X is disease X. Director of the U.S. NIAID. Anthony Fauci said that the concept of disease X would encourage WHO projects to focus their research efforts on entire classes of viruses or such as flavivirus instead of just individual strains such as the Zika virus, thus improving WHO capability to respond to unforeseen strains. The WHO in 2022 assembled 300 scientists to scrutinize 25 virus families and bacteria. This assembly aimed to identify pathogens with the potential to cause significant disruption and necessitate further study. In other words, they're probably creating. They assembled a team of 300 to create Disease X.
Yeah, right.
Among these, Disease X was identified, a term first coined by the organization in 2018 to denote a pathogen unknown yet capable of triggering a severe international epidemic. It wasn't identified. It was just, there might be a disease out there that we don't know, so we're going to call it Disease X. Yeah. They're like, we found Disease X to be blah, blah, blah. No, they didn't. It goes on to say, these are just some of the key points. How will Disease X emerge? Disease X is anticipated to manifest as a respiratory virus, says Dr. Amesh Dalja. How do you know if you don't know what it freaking is?
I know, right?
It's possible that this virus is already present within animal populations, but it has not made the leap to human hosts. That could be bats like COVID-19. We're still on that story.
Yeah, right.
We're
It's
still
like, it's
going
been
there.
disproven, man. Move on.
It could be in birds like bird flu, or it could be some other type of animal species, such as swine. Zoonotic diseases are diseases that jump from animals to humans, such as COVID-19. No, it didn't.
Yeah.
Ebola, probably not. SARS and MERS.
Probably not.
These diseases can be transmitted through direct contact, consumption of animal products, or environmental exposure. Antimicrobial resistance. This is the ability of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites to resist the effective drugs that are used to treat them. This could lead to infections that are difficult or impossible to cure and increase the risk of outbreaks and pandemics. Biotechnology. This is the use of living organisms or their components to create or modify products or processes. While biotech has many benefits, it also poses risks of accidental, intentional release of harmful agents, such as genetically modified organisms, synthetic viruses, or bioweapons, kind of like the people that are trying to create this disease X.
Right.
Climate change is a long-term change in the Earth's climate due to natural human factors. Climate change can affect the distribution and transmission of diseases. Talks about waterborne disease, respiratory disease, blah, blah, blah. What kind of preparations are needed to prepare for disease X? The WHO and other investors,
right. Moderna, Pfizer,
disease X.
Yeah.
To prepare, WHO and other stakeholders have proposed several strategies. Now, is it ominous that they have the balls to call themselves stakeholders in disease X?
Right. Yeah.
Strengthening surveillance and response systems involves improving detection, reporting, and investigation of disease outbreaks, as well as coordination and communication among different actors and sectors. Developing vaccines and treatments, blah, blah, blah. This was my favorite. Enhancing public health measures. This is probably all part of their health treaty, their disease X treaty.
It's the tracking, vaccine passports.
Involves implementation and enforcing measures to prevent and control the spread of disease, quarantine, etc., etc., etc. This is probably in their treaty.
Yeah.
If it's on their little bullet point list, it's probably in their treaty. It says implementing measures to prevent spread of disease, hygiene, isolation, quarantine, contact tracing, social distancing, which we found to not be
was bullshit.
It was bullshit, and mask wearing, which was found to be bullshit. Like, all these things have been found to be bullshit because the Wall Street Journal does not have ownership of the facts anymore.
Right.
Building resilience and preparedness involves enhancing the capacity and readiness of individuals, communities, and health systems to cope with and recover from disease, as well as addressing social, economic, and environmental factors, ESG, that influence health. What do you think of disease X and the people pushing for this treaty, such as the stakeholders of
sounds
disease
like
X?
It's them learning their lesson, thinking they're learning their lessons from COVID and doubling down.
Yes. Derek says, I hope disease X is zombies. I wanted zombies, but only got COVID.
I agree with that, Derek. I mean, want zombies. I was really disappointed with COVID.
Zombies would be 20 times worse than COVID.
It would.
I'm just saying.
It would. Yes. They really need to up their game.
Now, we joke about this because it is something. Hypothetically, we discovered it.
Yeah, we haven't discovered it, but we're damn sure working really hard to make it.
Now, the scary thing is, not long ago, January 18th, this was updated, but this came out January 16th, I guess. This article came out that says Chinese scientists have created a mutant coronavirus strain that attacks the brain and has a 100% kill rate in mice, as they admit that there are risks that it spills over to humans.
Fucking idiots.
Now, either they didn't learn their lesson or they really learned their lesson.
They really learned their lesson.
And they're like, let's try harder.
Yeah. Let's make something deadlier.
Let's try really hard.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, literally during this Davos seminar where the WHO is like, we got to be concerned about disease X. We don't know where it's going to come from. It'll most likely come from natural origins, kind of like COVID-19.
Right.
It didn't spill from a Chinese lab. While they are up there saying this, Chinese scientists are like, hey guys, we've created this mutant coronavirus that has 100% kill rate. It attacks the brain, which could potentially be zombies, Derek. Very likely could be zombies.
Yes.
Says 8 rodents infected with the pathogen surprisingly died within 8 days. Why is that surprising?
Yeah, seriously. Isn't that the goal?
Critics have said this madness must be stopped before it's too late.
It's too late.
World leaders meet to thrash out plans to protect against disease X. It says, now they're creating disease X while they're saying we need to implement policies to combat disease X. Chinese scientists have been experimenting with mutant coronavirus strains that has 100% lethal rate in mice, despite concerns such research could spark another pandemic. Scientists in Beijing who are linked to the Chinese military, they're just coming out and saying it this time instead of us playing guessing game for 2 years after. They cloned a COVID-like virus found in pangolins known as GXP2V and used it to infect mice. The mice had been humanized.
That's fucked up. This keeps getting better.
You can't just brush over the fact that we first we humanized the mice.
Yeah.
And then we infected it with disease X.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're just blowing past this in one sentence.
Yeah, I know, right?
Meaning that they were engineered to express a protein found in people with the goal of being to assess how the virus might react in humans.
They're weremice. They made weremice.
They made little master splinters. Every rodent that was infected with the pathogen died within 8 days, which the researchers described as surprisingly quick. That was way more effective than we thought it was going to be.
Damn, I guess we're done here, guys.
The team were also surprised to find high levels of viral load in the mice's brains and eyes, suggesting the virus, despite being related to COVID, multiplies and spreads through the body in a unique way. Writing in a scientific paper that has not yet been published, that sounds legit.
Right.
Published in the paper of Science, they warned the finding underscores a spillover risk into humans. So they even put it in the paper. It's like, now we created this thing. It's really bad. It's really deadly. And it's really risky to humans.
It might spill over. Who knows?
Professors Francois Ballou, an infectious, or bollocks. It looks like bollocks to me.
Probably is bollocks.
An infectious disease expert based at the University College of London, wrote on Twitter, "It's a terrible study, scientifically totally pointless. I can see nothing of vague interest that could be learned from force infecting a weird breed of humanized mice with a random virus. Conversely, I could see how such stuff might go wrong." Professor Richard Everett of Rutgers in New Brunswick, New Jersey, told DailyMail.com he wholeheartedly agreed with Professor Bullock's assessment. He added the preprint does not specify the biosafety level and biosafety precautions used for the research. The absence of this information raises, I'm laughing at this, but it's so scary at the same time. The absence of the necessary safety precautions.
Again,
the information that they even took safety precautions concerning possibility that part or all of the research, like the research in Wuhan, that likely caused COVID-19 recklessly was performed without minimal biosafety containment and practices essential for research with potential pandemic pathogens. According to the study carried out by Beijing University of Chemical Technology, the virus was discovered in 2017 prior to the COVID outbreak. It was discovered in Malaysia and pangolins, scaly mammals that are known harbors of coronaviruses and were heavily speculated to be the intermediate host that passed COVID from bats to humans. The researchers cloned the virus and stored multiple copes with the Beijing lab. I'm guessing that means copies, where it continued to evolve. It's unclear when the newly surfaced study was conducted, but the researchers said research, 8 mice were infected with the virus, 8 were infected with an inactivated virus, and 8 were used as a control group. All mice infected with the virus died. They succumbed to the infection between 7 and 8 days after being infected. Symptoms included their eyes turning completely white, rapid weight loss, and fatigue. Researchers found significant amounts of the virus in the brains, lungs, nose, eyes, and windpipes. By day 6, viral load had significantly decreased in lungs, but the animals' brains had shrunk, zombies, and were exceptionally high virus levels in the brains. The results suggest the virus infects via the respiratory system and then migrates to the brain, unlike COVID, which causes lower lung infection and pneumonia in severe cases. However, there were examples of COVID being found in brain tissue of severely sick patients. Let's see. Severe brain infection during late stages may be the key cause to death in the mice, mainly the shrunken brains, I'm guessing.
Yes.
This is the first report showing the SARS-CoV-2 related pangolin coronavirus can cause 100% mortality in these weird, creepy mice, suggesting a spillover to humans. However, the original strain of COVID also killed 100% in mice in some studies, meaning the new results may not be directly applicable to humans. But the madness must, in fact, be stopped before it's too late. Your thoughts?
How stupid can people be? I mean, it's like, oh, we're preparing for this disease that might show up
by playing,
by trying to make this disease that
by making
might
it
show
worse.
Up. Yeah, exactly. It's like, just leave it alone. Just stop touching shit.
You know, we should see because there is this risk that it could jump from animals to humans. We should see how much we could fuck with it to see what it would take to get it jump from animals to humans. Oh shit, it just jumped
from
the animal to human because we screwed with it.
If only we didn't mutate those mice to be like humans. It's just, how stupid are you? Seriously,
I mean, it has to be intentional. You can't be that stupid.
No, I agree. And then with the low safety stuff, it's like, well, I guess our Ziploc bags we're using as health masks didn't work today.
Well, we double masked, so we're fine. We're good.
Right.
We're good there. And we social distance.
Yeah.
So we're okay.
We have a special department that crocheted these masks that we're wearing. God bless.
So what do you think
America.
about this being released at the same time that the WHO is like at the WF Davos convention? It's like, guys, we should be worried about this undiscovered, quote unquote, virus X or disease X.
It's not an accident. It's not a mistake. It's not a coincidence. You know, because at Davos there was a lady, I don't remember who it was, who is pushing the fact that we really need to start pushing vaccine passports for people to make sure that they have what they need.
Yeah, I saw quite a bit of like the what's it called, like the biometric information being like stored on these trackers and stuff.
Maybe putting a chip in people so they can track their vital signs.
Yeah, I mean, the stakeholders.
Yes,
stakeholders.
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
like that are concerned about this.
BlackRock and Vanguard.
It's like, why are you smiling if you're concerned?
Right? Yeah. Why are you happy about this?
It's like,
it could be terrible. A lot of people might die.
We're heavily invested in
heavily.
I mean, the research against disease X is what I meant to say. We're heavily invested in the disease. Not, God damn it, I said it again.
It might be terribly awesome what might happen to our profits.
Yes. Never let a good crisis go to waste, especially when you can create a crisis.
Yeah.
And invest heavily in it. Invest in the same people that are investing in the cure for, probably, first of all, they invest probably in the research that created it. Then they invest in the cure for it. Then they also invest in the bio tracking. They probably invest in the mask manufacturing.
Oh yeah. The app, the passports, you know,
and then in the metaverse. So we don't
right.
have to leave our homes.
Oh,
we
yeah,
can social
right.
distance
We can
forever.
still be social without endangering our lives.
Right,
That's
exactly.
the safety they're talking about.
Derek says mad cow disease plus Ebola plus rabies plus this new Chinese COVID equals zombies.
I agree
Don't,
with that.
Derek, stop giving them ideas. Like we talked early in COVID about how like the genetic
Yeah.
makeup of COVID seemed like it was something mixed with like possibly AIDS.
Yes.
Or at least one of the
Because
strains
that was
of
like
COVID.
Fauci's baby, right? Was working on AIDS.
Yeah, like we talked about, one seemed like COVID mixed with, it's like some upper respiratory
Yeah, it was
disease.
like a
Then
SARS.
one of the strains seemed like it was mixed with AIDS, and
Yeah.
it's just like they're just screwing.
Yeah,
they're just seeing
yeah.
what they can, what diseases they
Yeah.
can
And,
manipulate
now they're
with COVID.
Yeah, and now they're working on this new one.
Yeah, which is zombie disease.
But I mean, but you're not wrong. I mean, you put all the pieces together, and it just creates like this perfect, like, oh, you can't go out in the world. You got to stay in our smart city where you're plugged in, and you do your your work on Meta.
Yeah.
Right. Why endanger your life?
So after talking about all this stuff, specifically Disease X and the Meta, and the stakeholders, which I find it so creepy that they actually called them stakeholders in Disease X. Now, back to the question, do you think they're like the evil masterminds, or do you think they're just egotistical billionaires with like God complex and zero self-awareness?
Yes, I believe they're egotistical billionaires with zero self-awareness.
Maybe they're both. Maybe it's
too.
a mixture of both.
Yeah.
Where the evil masterminds are convincing the egotistical, lack of self-aware billionaires that they're doing something right and you should invest in this to make money off of it, and you'll be saving the world. I feel like there's probably a mixture of both in that group. Like because they talked about the class system and the tier groups there. Well, the ones with the white tags that are way up here, they're the evil masterminds. And there's another tag we haven't even probably been able to see, and those are the evil masterminds. The people that sit up during the seminars. They're up in the dark balcony seats where their faces are shaded. And it's just like, well, who sits up there? It's like, you're not allowed to ask that.
It's the cloned version of Rockefeller and the original.
Yes.
Right.
It's like, even if you dare to ask who sits up there, you get immediately kicked out.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, no, you can't ask that. It's like, oh shit. And then he snatched up and he just disappears.
Put a black bag over his head.
Yes. So yeah, I feel like there's got to be some evil intentions there.
Yeah.
Even if it's just, how can we capitalize to make money off of the world's problems and keep them right where they're at, but tell them we're doing good. Right. I mean, that's still evil mastermind.
I mean, it's control. It's like, oh, well, we're going to get what we want, right? We'll still eat the red meat. We'll just make sure that they don't.
How many, and we talked about this so many times, how many, like such a small level of mega corporations that have like almost total control over the entire food supply are at these meetings. Right. They're like, how can we solve world hunger? It's like, you have all the fucking food.
Right.
Give some of it to them.
Yeah. Right.
Give some of your money. Like, stop monopolizing all the shit where you can control the prices, and like, stop trying to figure out how you can make billions of dollars on other people's problems. And actually, if you want to fix the world's problems, just fucking fix the world's problems.
It's like the fucking farm subsidies, right? Where they pay the farmers a certain amount of money to destroy crops and livestock, right? To control the prices. It's like, can't you ship that overseas to people that need it, right?
Yeah, but then the prices they want to get as much money,
right?
If they did that.
But and that just shows how much bullshit it all is.
It is all just made up.
Oh, we care so much for people, but we got to make sure we get ours.
How much do you think they're going to start losing their authority because, like we said, us normal people, we're not normal people, but the normies out there, they don't even buy into this shit as like, hey, they're saving the world out there. They don't buy into this. None of them buy into it, but it's not like, I mean, they're grasping, they're still like white knuckle grasping for that authority and just taking more and more control. It's getting to the point where it's just like, we don't give a fuck. There was actually a guy there that was just like, because it was like, yeah, I did fly on my jet, and yeah, I understand this, blah, blah, blah. And he was pretty much like, yes, all the people that go there are self-centered, like only focusing on their self. They only care about their self-interests. They only care about their own money. But isn't it a good thing that all these people that only care about their own money are getting together to solve problems?
No.
It's like he's owning up to.
Yeah.
It's like they're starting to own up to the perception of them, but
Yeah.
but we're doing a good thing here, guys.
Yeah.
It's like they're not trying that hard to be like, yes, we're all self-centered assholes, but would you rather us be self-centered assholes being self-centered away from each other,
Yeah, right.
or all in one spot eating caviar but discussing world problems?
Right. Yeah. No, and it's it's one of those things where I feel like they're gonna try to hold on tighter.
Oh, yeah.
The more people kind of like buck the system and buck the institutions, which they're gonna keep doing. They
Well,
did
it's
a
gonna
lot.
get violent.
Yeah, it will. Well, they did so much damage to themselves with COVID, right?
Yeah, they thought that was their
Right.
moment. It was
And
their
so
moment
they're
to-
going to double down, right?
yeah.
I mean, that's their solution to everything. Oh well, they're not trusting in the ESG. Well, we'll double down on it, right? Let's infiltrate the local governments. We'll get them that way, right?
Let's release Disease X.
Yeah,
and
that
then
will really scare them.
yeah, with the one we released was just a scare thing. And we thought they'd just be so scared that all the grandmas were dying and stuff, but it didn't work. So let's release one that actually kills a bunch of people.
Right. Yeah. Something that attacks the brain. And
We
makes it
warned you
really
guys.
horrible.
We warned you guys. This was out here and this was coming.
Yeah.
It gets to the point where it's like, if we can't have control, nobody will, and we'll just shut down, like kill all of humanity with
right.
Disease
Well,
X.
Yeah. Well, everybody that comes to Davos, we're gonna just load up on this arc until everything is cleared off.
Well,
right?
I'm sure you've seen the articles and stuff that came out right after the turn of the year. It's like, why are all the billionaires building all these bunkers this year?
right.
Like, what's going on? What do they know that we
That's
don't
some
know?
scary shit.
Maybe that's what the meeting that they're not talking about at Davos is like. So what's your bunker like?
Yeah.
My bunker is like 50,000 square feet.
Oh, how much food do you have saved up in there? Oh, like 5 years. You know.
I got 85 slaves down there,
Yeah, right.
like keeping it clean right now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I feel like they're gonna double down on something.
They
They're
will.
going like something bad's gonna happen out of this. I don't want to be a doom and gloomer, but
No.
they
have
it's like
to.
a cornered dog.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's gonna attack you.
Well, and with the rise of populism, in these nations, you see the riots from farmers over in Europe and stuff. It's like people are bucking the system.
Yeah, it's the rise of populism isn't the threat to democracy; it's a threat to their way of life.
Exactly.
And that's why they're so against it, and that's why they'll call it a threat to democracy, whatever the hell democracy is
they'll
anymore.
Try to control information even more, and anything they can to get you to follow their lead.
Absolutely, and so many people will, but I feel like so many people won't.
Yes,
and I feel
agree
like
with
there
that.
is hope.
I do
some
too.
hope, and I will burn it down, and I will burn in the flames before I give into this shit here.
Absolutely.
That's all I have. I mean, it's depressing as hell, but
it is. But the fact that they're scared gives hope.
And you could tell they are. Just the things they're talking. It was like,
well, how do we rebuild trust?
Yeah, how do we rebuild trust? Well, we just lock shit down.
Yeah.
Well, you understand, we don't own the facts anymore.
Right.
We used to own the facts, and now we don't own the facts, and
Right.
that's a problem.
Yeah.
And it's just like their hand is showing in their conversations that they're having. But I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Davos is over. We'll see what happens after that. I'd be interested to see what war games or whatever's gonna, like, usually they come in like threes.
Yeah.
So they'll have their Davos convention. Then we'll hear of some war game of some disease or some war game of a war or something going on, some
big-
terrorist attack or something like
exactly.
that. So
Yeah.
it'll
Yeah.
happen.
There's definitely enough going on in the world. So
Yep. Well, that's all we have. If you have anything to say about this Davos thing, please, if somebody is out there that's like, these Davos guys, they're a good, they're good
like,
eggs.
I go there and I like them.
They're good
They're
eggs.
great
They are
tippers.
doing great things. Please let us know, because like I said, I have not heard an actual human say these guys are doing good for the world. I would like to hear that just so I can hear what it is that why you think this. So please hit us up in the comment section. The comment section is always open. You can hit us up on social media at the handle @BreakTheBellPod. Look us up, like us, share, subscribe, all that stuff we tell you to do. That's all I have.
Yeah, it's fun one as usual.
Oh yeah, Davos is
Davos
always fun to talk
2024
about.
in the
Yep.
books.
We got another one in the books, another shit show in the books. So, yeah, check us out, share us, all that stuff we tell you to do every week. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your week.
Enjoy the warm weather.
Enjoy this heat wave we have. We will catch you next time.
Peace.
Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.